This is Gemara Baba Basra, Daf Kof Chaf Ches, and all the learning has been sponsored as an incredible schos. Rafua Shalema for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva B'Seich Sha'ar Chayle Yisrael B'Siyata D'Shmaya. We should be able to see the incredible Kayach HaTayra Mirza Hashem bring its Yeshuas that only the Kayach HaTayra knows possible for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva B'Siyata D'Shmaya. We're holding two lines from the bottom on Kuf Chav Zayinim and Beis, and the beginning, as we'll begin with a bunch of series of shailos that Rabba sent to Rav Yosef Bar Chama, are going to sound a bit off because they're not exactly our sugya as we're going to see, but it's going to be a series of 5 shailos, and the 5th shailah, which we're actually going to get to first on Amud Beis of today's sugya, is going to bring us back to our sugya of Bechar. So says the Gemara, Shach later of Abel Rav Yosef Bar Chama, Ha'omer lechaveiroi, Avdi ganavta. Someone says to his friend, my slave ganavta you stole. Ha'omer le ganavta, I didn't steal it. So he responds, if you didn't steal it, mati v'yatzacha. So why is my slave by you? So he responds, you know why it's by me? Because guess what? Ata machartoi li. You sold him to me, or as we turn over to Kuf Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, or he says, you know why? Because, as we turn over to Kuf Chav Ches Amud Aleph. Here we go. Apologies. Or he says, you know why? Atanasata li matana. He says, yeah, this used to be your Eved, but guess what? You sold it to me. Guess what? You gave it to me as a matana. And therefore, Ritzaincha, if you want, Hishava, you could swear, Vital. If you want, you could swear and you could take back this Eved. Vinishva. So indeed he goes and he swears. What's the halacha? Eino yachal lachzer boy, that he's not able to back out, and therefore, meaning, if he says, if you swear, I'll give you back David, and indeed he swears, he has to give him back David. Says the Gemara, my kamashmalan. What's the chiddush over here? Tanina, this is a brisa. This is a Mishnah, Mefureshes in Sanhedrin. Amr loy neman alay abba, neman alay avicha, neman alay shleisha roi bakar. Someone says a certain person, a certain 3 people are neman. Rabbi Meir, I may yachal achzer by the chacham mimrim. So what do we see? We see that once you give them manos, you can't back out. So l'chayra, what's the chiddush of our din? He says that if you swear, you can take it. Of course, if he swears, he can take it. Says the Gemara, Kamash Lon. Says the Gemara, you're right. There, according to the Chachamim, there is no chiddush, but that gufa is the chiddush teaching us that we paskin like the Chachamim. Case number 1. Case number 2. Shachle Rav Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Halcha goyvim min alacha goyvim min avodim. So Rav Abba says to Rav Yosef Bar Chama, you know what the halacha is? That when someone dies, we collect min his avodim kenanim, that the Yisayimim are yershin. Rav Nachman Amar, no, ein goyvim, you do not collect. If it sounds familiar, we had this back in Baba Kama. Case number 2. Case number 3, Shachle Rav Abba Rav Yosef Bar Chama, halacha Shlishi b'sheni kosher. Halacha is that the shlishi, that if a karev, a shlishi, each generation away, so we have a 3rd generation, comes to testify with regard to a closer generation, a 2nd generation, halacha is kosher. It is kosher. Says the Gemara, but it's not conclusive. Rav Amar, af rishain, that a shlishi can even testify about a rishain. Mar ba'avashi, echshar ba'aba da'aba. Mar ba'avashi allowed eidos ba'aba da'aba about a grandfather, which is a shlishi with regard to a rishain. Says the Gemara, "V'les looks like Gemara Baravashi." We don't paskin that way, and rather only like Rav Abba sent to Rav Yisrael bar Chama, which is a shlishi b'sheni. Shalach le Rav Abba le Rav Yisrael bar Chama. Continues the Gemara, a fourth halacha. Hayodei aloi be'idos karka. If we have someone, and as we'll see, and the Rashbam fills us in over here, referring to a blind person that knows about Eidos for his friend with regard to his karka. He knows where the boundaries are. Says the Gemara, if you knew this Eidos ad sheloi nistama, before he became blind, and then the vinistama, and now he is blind, and therefore he can't actually see the boundaries, Pasal, such Eidos is not a good Eidos about the boundaries, because right now he can't actually see and say this is where the boundary is, and therefore he cannot give Eidos on such boundaries. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel disagrees. Kosher. Why? After the mechavein mitzarna, because you know why? He's able to know different simanim, he's able to know different markers, and thereby recreate the boundaries that he knew when he was able to see. Avol glima alai, but says Shmuel, with regard to a glima, a beged, a garment, then he's not able to give eidos after he becomes blind. Why? Because such a thing, says Shmuel, can't know precisely without actually seeing. When it comes to a field, you knew where the boundaries were, and now you just have to recreate them in your mind. That says Shmuel. If he knew about it when he was able to see, and now he's blind, that will let him do. But with regard to other items, no. Rav Ashi Amar, I feel klima, he's able to. Because again, says Rav Ashi, what do you mean? He can know the precise sizing, and that itself is enough. Aval nischa, but a bar of silver, says Rav Ashi, that he can't give Eidos if he becomes blind. But for Rav Papa Amar, and the next level comes on Rav Papa, he says, I feel nascha, after b'chavi midas mishkalaisa. So b'achlaikas, how much we believe a person with regard to that which he knew when he was able to see, now he can't see. Do we say that he could transfer his sight to different simanim or not? By a land, by a shirt, by a bar of silver. So Meisvei, on this last point, asks the Gemara, in a similar scenario, not a scenario that he can't see, but a scenario that he became pasal eidos, because not that he did anything wrong, but he became related to one of the parties. And now he's a karoiv, so now he's not allowed to give eidos. Or says the Brisa, Pikech v'nischaresh, he became a deaf mute. Pitech v'nistama, he was able to see and he became blind. Shafo yadas v'nishtata, and he lost his mind. In all of these cases, says the Brisa, Pasal, he no longer can give eidos. Aval loy beeidos actually naseh chasnoi v'naseh chasnoi umeisa bitoi, and then 4 lines on the bottom, and then the person that created the kirva died, or pikech v'nischaresh v'chazar v'nispakeach, or if he lost it but then he came back and he has das again, pikech v'nistameh v'chazar v'nitpateach, he saw, he became blind, and now he can see again. Shafei v'nishtatve v'chazar v'nishtafeh, he was lucid, he then lost his mind, and then he came back. In such scenarios, if right now he has das, even though there was a momentary time in which he did not, kosher. Says the Brisa Zaklal, Shkol shetchilaso yisayfei b'paslos, pasl. If in the beginning, when he saw the thing he's testifying about, he didn't have das, he wasn't able to see, so then that's it, you can never give testimony. Or if right now, when he's testifying, he doesn't have das, he as well can't give testimony. But chilasai v'soifai b'kashros, if in the beginning he had das, and now he has das, then kosher, then he could, yes, give testimony right now, because l'maisa, right now he has das, and when he saw what he is testifying, he had das as well. Says the Gemara, to Yufta, the Kulu to Yufta. Says the Gemara, so this is a kasha on all the Amoraim aside for Rav Abba, because we see that you cannot testify about anything if you don't have das at that moment. As the Rashbam spells out, Shmuel, Rav Sheshes, Rav Papa. Why? Because they all give edus at some level for someone who was blind. Says the Gemara, that's not possible. You only can give edus from this brace, so we see if at the moment you have das. And now finally, Kuf Chav Chesam and Beis, the top line. Finally, we get to really the reason we brought down all these dinim, shailas, halachais. The Rav Abba sent Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Shalach le Rav Abba le Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Second line, Kuf Chav Chesam and Beis. He sent him the following: Ha'omer al tinoik bin abanim. If someone says regarding a baby amongst other children, Neman, he is believed. If he says this child, this tinoik is mine, Neman, he's believed. For Rav Yochanan Amar, no, Einay Neman. Says the Gemara, my Kamar, what exactly are we discussing? Amar Abaye Yachai Kamar, Ha'omer al tinoik bin abanim, Yiraish kol nechasai. If there's a baby amongst other children, and he says, I want this child, this tinoik, to inherit all my properties, Neman, ke Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Einay Neman, ke Rabbanan. He's Neman like Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika, which we're going to get to on Daf Kof Lamed, that says that if one is able to give Yerusha, then he is that you're able to give, even though it's kineged at some level the Yerusha Torah, because you're giving it all to one kid. And Rav Yochanan says that he's not Neman, that like the Rabbanan, which we've seen already, that goes back to Avkol Chavav, that you're not able to change the Seder of the Yerusha. Why? Because you're Masna Mash Kasav B'Torah. So Maskif La Rava, Hay Neman Ve'no Neman, it's the wrong word. Yirosh V'lo Yirosh B'Bayilei. Says Rava, it's not a question of netmanis. It's a question of, are you allowed to give over the Yerusha? So Yiresh V'lo Yirosh, it should have said. Elo, my Rava comes along Rava and he says, Achi Kamar, this is what it means. Ha'omer al tinoik bin abanim b'charo neman ki Rav Yehuda, Rav Yochanan Amar einay neman ki Rabbanan. That finally is the reason why we brought down the entire first four shailas is for this maskana. That if someone is trying to say of one child amongst others that he is the bachar, like our sugya that we have been learning, that's the machlekes, whether it's namanas like Rav Yehuda or not, like the Rabbanan. Continues the Gemara. Once we're on the topic of Rav Abba telling Rav Yosef Bar Chama, we bring down another hayra'ah. Shalach le Rav Abba le Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Ha'omer titol ishti kechem and abanim. If someone says my wife should take like one of the children, I tell us kechem and abanim, she indeed does so. Amar Rava, says Rava, uben achasim shall achshav, only properties he has right now. But banim aban lachar mikan, and he could say it as well for children that he does not have right now, that his wife could get like those kids. And we continue with a seventh halacha. Shalach le Rav Abba le Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Smack in middle of Kuf Chav Chesam and Beis. The first one online is Le Rav Abba le Rav Yosef Bar Chama. He sent as follows: Ha'moitzi shtar chayiv al chaveiroi. Someone finds a shtar chayiv. The lender says, I was never paid klomet overlay. I paid half. But the Eidim said he was paid in full. The Malve, who claimed he was not paid at all, but we have to realize he's in a direct fight with the Eidim that said he was paid entirely. So he's able to swear and he gets half. From Minchas b'nei Chayrin Aval Mishubadim Loi. Can't give him Minchas Mishubadim. Why? Because the Mishubadim, they could say, very nice, you swore, but we rely on the Eidim. And the Eidim said the guy doesn't have to pay you. So therefore you can't come take our properties. Va'afilu Rabbi Akiva. Who's Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva famously in Bab Metzia Damar Meishav Aveda Have. Rabbi Akiva says that you're actually chayiv even because you're considered like a Meishav Aveda, you're returning something because it's his form of a Maida b'mixas. Then Hani Mili Echad Daleka Edim. That's only when there's no Edim, that's when Rabbi Akiva says it. But when there are Edim, Artuti, Irsis, then that weakens the story, and therefore you would not be chayiv unless there is a shvua. Ask the Gemara 1 second. Masla Marba Rav Ashi Adarabba of Afilu Rav Shimon Elazar Damar Moedim Mixes Atayna Have Hani Mili Echadalek Eidim the Komasayele Echadek Eidim the Komasayele Vaday Meisha Aveda Have, which really brings us back to the Gosugya and Baba Mitzia. But we conclude after the 7 Hayras the Rav Abba sent Rav Yisbar Chama. So Darash Shemar Zutra, 5 lines to the bottom, Mishmei, the Rav Simi Barashi, Elchasa B'chlani, Shemaitza, Kedeshachle, Rav Abba, Rav Yosef Bar Chama. We paskin in all these scenarios, like Rav Abba sent to Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Says the Gemara, really? I'm the Rav Ashi, the Rav Nachman, Mai. What about the case of Rav Nachman? Amar Le, Ein Goivin Masnin Le, V'chenim Rav Nachman, Vel Elchasa Lafuke Mai. But if that's true, that is straight up the Mishnah, so what's the halacha coming to teach us? With this, we turn over. I apologize, we don't have Kuf Chav Tes. Let's just hold it for one moment. You know what? We'll pick it up from this last line because we don't have the page in front of us. P'siyata dishmaya.